I finally met my online friend. Then she walked in wearing a wedding ring. I had spent almost 2 years talking to her without ever seeing her in person. Every morning, there was a message from her. Every night, there was a good night. We had shared jokes, secrets, dreams, fears, and stories we had never told anyone else. So when she finally agreed to meet me at a small coffee shop downtown, I thought I knew exactly what I was walking into. I was wrong. Because the moment she walked through the door, the first thing I noticed wasn't her smile. It was the wedding ring on her finger. I stared at it for a second too long. She noticed. Her smile disappeared. "You're probably wondering about this," she said. I forced a small laugh. Yeah. I definitely wasn't expecting that. She sat across from me and placed her hands on the table. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Her name was Emily. At least, that was the name I had known her by online. We met through a photography forum after I commented on one of her pictures. She had posted a photo of an empty train station at sunset. I told her it looked lonely. She replied, "Maybe lonely isn't always the same as sad." That sentence started everything. Soon, our conversations moved from photography to music, movies, family, childhood memories, and eventually the things that kept us awake at night. We never officially called it a relationship. But there were moments when it felt like something more. She knew when I was pretending to be okay. I knew when she was hiding something. Still, we never crossed that invisible line. Until one night, she said, "I think we should finally meet." I couldn't sleep afterward. I arrived at the cafe 20 minutes early. Then Emily walked in. She looked almost exactly like the woman I had imagined from her photos. But there was something different. She looked nervous. And that ring kept catching the light. "How long have you been married?" I finally asked. She looked down. "I'm not." I blinked. "You're not?" She shook her head. "The ring belonged to someone." "Someone?" "My mother." I didn't know what to say. Emily slowly turned the ring around her finger. "She died 3 years ago." My expression changed immediately. "I'm sorry." "Thank you." She took a breath. "After she died, my father gave me the ring. He told me she wore it every day for 35 years. She smiled sadly. "I started wearing it because I was afraid that if I put it away, I'd eventually forget what it meant." I nodded. Suddenly, the ring didn't feel like a warning anymore. It felt like a memory. We talked for nearly 2 hours. It was strange. Not awkward strange. Familiar strange. Like meeting someone for the first time and somehow remembering them. At one point, Emily laughed and said, "You actually talk exactly like you type." I smiled. "And you laugh exactly like I imagined." She looked at me. "That's dangerous." "Why?" "Because now this feels real." I didn't know how to respond. Then her phone vibrated. She looked at the screen. Her smile vanished. "Everything okay?" I asked. She quickly put the phone face down. "Yeah." I knew that wasn't true. "You don't have to tell me." She looked at me for several seconds. Then she whispered, "There's something else you don't know." My stomach tightened. "What?" She looked toward the window. "I wasn't completely honest with you about why I wanted to meet." I waited. She continued. "I didn't come here because I wanted to see if we could become something." I tried not to react. "Then why did you come?" "Because I needed to say goodbye." The words hit harder than I expected. I leaned back. "Goodbye?" She nodded. "My father is sick." I froze. "How sick?" "Very." She explained that her father had been diagnosed with a serious illness months earlier. He had always been the strong one in her family. The man who fixed everything. The man who never admitted he was afraid. But now he was getting weaker. And Emily had spent months taking care of him. She looked down at the ring. He knows about you. I was surprised. He knows about me. She nodded. I told him about my online friend. I laughed nervously. Online friend? She smiled. That's what I called you. What did he say? He asked if you were a good person. What did you tell him? She looked directly into my eyes. I told him I hoped you were. That sentence stayed with me. We sat quietly. Then I asked the question I had been afraid to ask. Why goodbye? She swallowed. Because I'm moving away. Where? Across the country. Why? To help take care of my father. I nodded slowly. Everything suddenly made sense. The meeting. The nervousness. The ring. The goodbye. I looked at her. You could have told me. I was scared. Of what? That you'd feel sorry for me. I shook my head. I don't feel sorry for you. She looked surprised. I feel like you should have trusted me. Her eyes became watery. I know. For the first time since she arrived, she reached across the table. Her fingers touched mine. I'm sorry. I held her hand. Not because I expected anything. Not because I wanted to change her situation. I held it because after 2 years of talking through a screen, I finally had the chance to tell her something without typing it. You don't have to apologize for choosing your family. She looked down. A tear rolled down her cheek. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. We stayed at the cafe until sunset. Before leaving, she asked me one question. If I disappear for a while, will you hate me? I smiled. No. What if I don't message for months? I'll still be here. What if it's a year? I'll still be here. She smiled. You always make everything sound simple. It isn't simple. Then why say it? Because some people are worth waiting for. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she hugged me. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't dramatic. It was simply two people who had become important to each other saying goodbye without knowing when the next hello would come. She stepped back. Take care of yourself. You too. She walked toward the door. Then she stopped. She turned around and looked at me. For what it's worth. Yeah. Meeting you was one of the best things that happened to me this year. I smiled. Same. She left. I watched her disappear down the sidewalk. For several minutes, I just sat there. The coffee had gone cold. The cafe was getting quieter. And for the first time in 2 years, my phone wasn't filled with messages from Emily. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. 3 months later, I received a message. It was from her. Just 4 words. He's doing much better. I stared at the screen. Then another message appeared. I think I can finally breathe. I smiled. We started talking again. Slowly. Carefully. There were no promises. No expectations. Just conversations. Months passed. Then one evening, she sent me a picture. It was her hand. And the ring was still there. Under the picture, she wrote, Mom's ring is still with me. Then another message appeared. But now it reminds me of something different. I asked, what? She replied. It reminds me that love isn't always about keeping someone close. I read the message twice. Then she sent another. Sometimes it's about letting them go when they need to go. I smiled. Then my phone rang. Emily was calling. It was the first time we'd ever spoken on the phone. I answered. Hello? There was silence. Then her familiar laugh came through. You sound exactly like you type. I laughed. And you still laugh exactly like I imagined. She paused. Can I ask you something? Anything. Do you remember what you told me at the cafe? Which part? When you said some people are worth waiting for. I smiled. Yeah. I think. She paused. I think I'm ready to stop making you wait. My heart started beating faster. What does that mean? It means I'm coming back. I couldn't speak. She laughed softly. Still there? Yeah. Good. Emily? Yes? Bring the ring. There was a pause. Then she laughed. Why? Because I want to meet the woman behind the screen again. She smiled. I'll see you soon. The call ended. I sat there staring at my phone. 2 years of messages had brought us to one coffee shop. One wedding ring had nearly made me believe I had missed my chance. But sometimes the thing that scares us first isn't a warning. Sometimes it's a story we don't understand yet. And sometimes, the person you've been waiting to meet isn't walking into your life to stay forever. They're walking in to teach you what real connection feels like. And if you're lucky, they come back.